The bus.
See you on the bus. See you on the park bench.
We just want you to sit in your chair and go hip hip hooray for the Western press and the Western narrative, regurgitating the same old every single day without exception. Please watch the first two episodes, the second series. Look at that.
Absolutely fascinating.
And it was the first time the Beatles had really stopped being semi-professional almost.
Love that.
Good evening, everyone. I'm just a poor boy from Liverpool. I am a poor boy.
I know.
Thanks very much, you know. No. But anyway, it's good to see you again tonight, Anthony.
Frank, good to see you. Good to see everyone out there. It's nice to be back in the fold.
Yes. Do you know what? I was doing a podcast last night, football, and can I give you the ring after the show?
Of course.
It'll only be a quick one.
Yeah.
And I mightn't do any more football podcasts. You know, I've been taken seriously last night and today. So I thought, I'm not doing any more of this. I'm just going to sit and watch the match, criticise it in my own time if I want. Yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? But I'll explain to you. I can't say it on here.
I'm sorry.
You know what I mean? So anyway, mister, can I read out something?
Yes, please. Please do.
Now, you know literature, don't you?
Yeah.
And what we've been trying to say is, when you read a book, there are some, not saying any of our people on here, but there are some who read, but they're not bringing everything in, if you know what I mean. They're not bringing everything in. They're not like looking at the surrounding story, the underbelly, I mean.
Yeah.
You know, that surrounds the story. So can I read something? It's only a small paragraph.
Yes.
Okay. And this is it. And this is a book. I was born in 1820. A harsh change in England. Money and position seemed all that mattered. Charity was a cold and disagreeable word. Religion was too often and wore a mask of bigotry and cruelty. There was no proper place for the poor or the unfortunate. I had no father, mother, brother, or sister. As a child, I lived with my aunt, Mrs. Reed of Gateshead Hall. I do not remember that she ever spoke one kind word to me. So, what did you think of that opening?
It's powerful. It's it it's the bottom line. It's telling the truth of a time and a place, which, to be honest, could be now. But
So, what she is now, what this particular person is now, she's an adult. And she was born in 1820. So, you're talking now of the mid 19th century if she was born in 1820.
yeah,
And this is the time of the likes of Charles Dickens. Yeah,
yeah,
simple as that. And when you look at the likes of Browning, the poet,
yes,
he wrote, well, he wrote loads of poetry, but three of them are my favourites. One is Porphyria's Lover. The other is My Last Duchess.
I love that.
And the other is, I think, it's gone from me mouth. But nevertheless, the laboratory. The laboratory.
Yeah.
Now, in that little paragraph I read, it adds that the only thing that mattered in the day was money.
Yeah.
And when you read the likes, sorry, go on.
Status and money.
Of course it is. And there's no time for the poor. The poor are just a thing, go away. It's like that bloody quote, and I forget who said it. The rich have an abundance of poor, to do all the work, to be walked upon, to be spat upon, to do everything that they're told to do. You see?
Yeah.
So, that particular opening, where even religion was cruel.
Yeah.
And that reminded me of William Blake's As the hapless soldier sighs, as blood runs down palace walls, and the blackening church appalls.
Absolutely. Yes.
And then again, it reminds me of the opening anthem for Doomed Youth.
Yes.
What passing bells for these who die as cattle. So you can connect everything.
Absolutely.
What's going on in the mid 19th century.
And kind of what's going on now, Frank.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
There's that Manchester United fella, the richest man in the country. He's decided to piss off to Monaco to save 4.1 billion in taxes.
Yeah.
How much money has he got to save 4.
Yeah. What are you doing with it?
TW, big up Frank and Anthony.
Thank you, TW. We're on it tonight.
And he says, smash the likes and subscribe, please. Thank you. Thank you for that, TW. And the Snapey, an evening of literature revolving around the history of words. My specialist subject. I like to think of a lexicon. I hate this fucking word. Lexicon. Lexicograph. A woolly back, and frankly, a bit of a nerd. No, you're not.
That we don't put labels on anything. Us maybe we don't
But
like
you, you know, again, but he points it out the history of words.
yeah.
And what
Which,
people don't take into consideration, Anthony, is the people who are in the bloody dark putting these words on the paper.
and why they're doing it. What drives them to do it? It's like us now. Frustration
Yeah.
and the need to get some semblance of truth out there.
And that's the sadness, isn't it? You know, I'm not saying all people. I think people, you know, because they miss the underbelly, is they pick a book up. And how many times have you heard someone saying, "Oh, I picked it up, couldn't put it down"? Loads. I've heard loads saying that.
Yeah.
Lots of people saying, "Oh, I couldn't put it down." But they're missing the fundamentality of these words that are going in. Can I read? I'm not going to read it all, but it's just money and position seemed all that mattered. Money and position. Charity was a cold and disagreeable word. Religion too often wore a mask of bigotry and cruelty. There was no proper place for the poor or the unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's everything that we've just
Absolutely.
been talking about.
Yes, absolutely. And who was our great author?
The Sheikhs, and there's Dickens. And Dickens, he actually said it. And this is where people, again, you know, they love the story of A Christmas Carol. They love it. Oh, great, you know. But all they're thinking of are the three ghosts. Well, there's four, really. Three visitations. But he also had a visitation of Marley on the door knocker.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, his friend.
Yeah.
So that's what they just, and they go, "Oh, wow." And then, you know, the measly, you know, he's a miser. He wouldn't give anything to charity, and as it said in there, you know, charity was a disagreeable word, a
Yeah.
cold and disagreeable word, charity. Now, why should we have a charity even today? Because governments say, you know, if you want to help the poor, you go and help them. To us, the poor.
This is the problem. So we know, and we're not getting into a political debate, but it's we all of us understand the fact that some people have 2, 3, 4 jobs. They cannot earn enough money to pay the people who want money from them. Your mortgage, your landlord, your rent, so we have not moved that much, if anything, from Dickens' days and that wonderful opening there, which was Charlotte Bronte's take on it, is like liberating to the thoughts, because we're not on our own. There's
No.
people there who recognise the discomforts and the suffering. But in the modern world, we're reading about nothing but billionaires enable this. Billionaires, as you said, get off to
The
avoid
oligarch.
paying a few bob. If you live and work in any country, pay your taxes for the country. That's not really an article up for debate, is it? You know, but
There's our friends. He's got one of the most exotic names in the world, Cedric Lopez. What a name that is. Cedric Lopez. Great that name, isn't it? It's
oh,
like a name that goes up in lights with the likes of Mel Gibson,
well,
Brad Pitt.
and also a name that greats like Charles Dickens would embroider
Yes,
into
yeah,
a fantastic novel.
yeah.
Good
You
evening.
know, he'd be a goodie, wouldn't he? Really. And
Yes,
around the corner, who came and saved his life and saved the poor man's life.
yeah,
None other than Cedric Lopez.
yeah. Who's got the knowledge
Yes,
to stop things in its tracks.
yes. A foreign gentleman with the ability of cutting with a sword
Yeah,
candles into 5
yeah.
pieces.
Well, Agatha Christie made a career out of it, didn't she?
Yes. Anyway, Cedric says, Frank and Anthony expanding my knowledge in my great brain. Thanks. And his thumbs up to the chat. And little Linda Ellis. Even if Frank and Anthony.
Good evening, Linda. Hope you're good.
And want to say to Franco, Anthony and chat has got to be on to listen to you two fine gents and chatters. Damn the internet.
Ah, good evening, Toscana. Thank you for joining us. And yes, I second that emotion.
Absolutely. And Cedric says, it the likes for the legends. There's the lexicographer. Yeah, look. Sleepy. There's scenarios where eloquence is perceived as a psychological intimidation. The tragedy is that certain individuals in power have weaponized a specific narrative to intimidate, educate. To intimidate, education is power. That's a
Yeah,
very good point. You know why that's a very good point about education? Hey,
because we've been through. I feel I've been through, and we've debated this. We've talked about this. It can be stopped.
yes,
Can be dulled.
yes.
So you think you go to school, you think you're going to be educated, but you're not.
And that's why there's higher education. But unfortunately, let's go back to the 20th, the 19th century, for example, and into the 20th, by the way. And you had women who went to university, right?
Yeah,
And when they go to university, they were educated. But before they could go to university, they had governesses to educate the girls, right? And then they get to university, finally gets to university. And it was all through a woman from Rodney Street. Rodney Street. Who opened up Newell College, Cambridge, for women. She said, I've had enough of this.
Yeah.
And then she opens up the college.
Yeah.
Women started to go. However, it wasn't until, Anthony, the 20th century that women were allowed to get certificates. You know, if you went to university and you studied and, you know, you came out with your qualifications. But it wasn't until the 20th century. I remember reading, I think it was in the 70s or 80s, I'm not quite too sure. A lady who was 92 years of age, who finally got her certificate of the university. And I think it was in the 70s or 80s, I think it was the 70s. I read that. Couldn't believe it.
No.
So you see the way it's compacted to certain, and they came from wealthy backgrounds, the girls, you know, especially when Anne Clough, I forgot to mention her name, didn't I? The sister of Arthur Clough, the great poet, who came from Rodney Street.
Both of them magnificent people.
Oh.
Whose ideal was the better life for others.
Yeah.
Not, as we opened up the show, none of the self-gain, status, wealth gaining, but sharing the knowledge.
Exactly. Do you know everybody criticises? You're gonna kick me head in when you see me live, and so will all our chatters. Do you know Margaret Thatcher, right?
Yeah.
Do you know the only good thing that she ever did for the likes of us? She gave us. Go on. What was you going to say?
I think she walked out to Downing Street.
No, do you know what she did? Like, it was going on, but she retained it. She said, "Yeah, keep going." You know, for the working classes who went to university, you know, we couldn't go otherwise. But she gave a like a bursary sort of thing.
Like a scholarship.
So you didn't have to struggle or anything. That's what she did. She kept it going as well. That was the only thing she ever did. And Cedric says, I have to start taking my acting classes. You know, the swordsman.
Nice.
The foreign swordsman, you know, Cedric Lopez.
You gotta wax this.
Oh, yeah.
That's first, Cedric.
Yeah. All in black.
Yeah.
All in black.
Get a red cape. Be well arched.
No, a red lining. All black with a red lining. And there's a silver sword. You know, the handle pure silver. As it gleams in the sunlight or the dark, you know, the moonlight. Especially when he's after the baddies.
Yeah.
Trying to intimidate women.
Yeah. Either that or write the book and have the cravat and the cigarette holder. No.
Rapath. What a name that is, Rapath. That's an unusual name, isn't it? Rapath. Yeah, look, Cedric Lopez and Rapath. You know, two. Can we call them one a villain and one a hero? but the villain becomes a hero within himself, and that's Redpath, along with Cedric Lopez in a novel, a 19th century novel.
Doth my hat to both gentlemen.
And he says, did you know we had a prime minister called Benjamin Disraeli? Before you ask, the answer is yes. Well, Benjamin Disraeli, have I got something here? Bear with me on this. I've got it. Now, how coincidental is what Redpath said there? Redpath. I'm going to read something, what Benjamin Disraeli said in 1836.
Go.
The Irish ate our free isle. They ate our order, our civilization, our enterprising industry, our sustained courage, our decorous liberty, our pure religion. This wild and reckless, indolent, uncertain and superstitious race have no sympathy with the English character. Their fair ideal of human felicity is an alternation. It's very dark in here, Anyway, is an alternation of clannish broils and coarse idolatry. Their history describes an unbroken circle of bigotry and blood.
Now, that could be highly debatable, but myself, my own opinion is what a feckin' idiot he was. Benjamin, you're a tosspot.
See what I mean about the Irish?
Yeah?
And what the English, and you say, I just want to turn this thing on. It's only so I can get me map up, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think I'll get it up. For later on. Yeah, I've got it up. Brilliant. Well, that's clever, aren't I?
Yeah.
No. That's great, that. Thanks, Redpath. What a name. Right, so where's the Snapey shows some of the some of the students on the course that I was on had, shall we say, a primitive vocabulary without being disparaging to anyone there. The problem was it was all an LLB honours law degree. They didn't stay. It's sad, really, because if you've got a vocation, I think you should aim for it. As you know, I wanted to be an archaeologist, and I decided to take what they call today a gap year from uni because I was doing the archaeology after my first year. And when I decided to take, because all these like poshies, they're all posh, I was the only one with an accent. Hello, would you like a cup of tea? This and they were all having a gap year, what we call a gap year today. They were just taking a year out because they've been in education since they were little, so was I. I was a little mad kid running to school, little infant school, and I took 12 years out. Not a gap year, 1 year, but I took 12 out and went back like Jack the Lad.
Yeah.
And they didn't do the course that I was on. It changed. I went somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I had to do another thing, as you know. Was I a fool?
No, because life is not one-dimensional.
No.
What you did was broadened your life by taking those years out. And you said it before when you said when you were a kid and you used to sag off school and go to the museum. Wasn't sagging off anything. It was just going your own way, and it all leads to where you are today.
Well, only for me old professor seeing me when I went back. I was going home. When he said we didn't do it no more. And he just said, just have a cup of tea with me, stay there for 10 minutes, I'll be back. Because he knew that I did the Roman stuff. And then he brought back a lady who was a double first at Oxford. And she was lecturing about the Roman Empire. And she impressed me. So that's what I did. And then went on and on and on for 9 years of study with different qualifications.
I love the remark the lady said to you about Francis, just bear me out, sign up for 6 months or a year.
Yeah, it was a term, yeah. And she said, this is to September. And she said, just come along. And if you don't like it at Christmas when the first term ends, because they call it semesters now. And she said, just walk away and not say nothing. So I said, okay. And it was intriguing about the Romans.
Yeah. But what did you say at the end of term, when it was wrapping up for like the break? You said, I'll see you in a bit. I'll see you.
Yeah, I said, I'll see you after
Do you know what? I love that beyond belief. And everyone we're mentioning, and like tonight, you mentioned Jane Eyre and Charlotte Bronte, and we mentioned Dickens, and every single one of them would have had a moment like that. And the expression, I think, goes, angels walk amongst us. Someone who can do you something, some good, without wanting payment or global reward or anything for it, just does something out of the goodness of their heart, say, he's going to be good. Don't let him go. He's going to be a cracker. And that's what happened. We've got you.
Professor. He was a smashing, he'd be well dead now, And sit with me. He said, have a cup of tea for 10 minutes, I'll be back. Lovely man.
Yeah, there you go. We've not gone. He's still with you, still with us. That's a wonderful...
angels walk among us.
Yeah.
And lexicographer, our snapey friend, the lexicographer, he says, on the subject of Thatcher, I went to the swimming baths once and the lifeguards asked me what my favourite stroke was. Apparently the stroke Margaret Thatcher had was an unsuitable reach. So, you can't show me. And the Pat says, having descended from the Irish, learning about the Irish struggle has been truly eye-opening to how empires are run. That's where the empires started from. That's where the English Empire started from. because you had, and I'm going back to 1566 with Sir Humphrey Gilbert, who was the half-brother of Sir Walter Raleigh, by the way. And what they were looking at the Spanish over in the New World. They were colonizing the New World. And the excuse was, so you had to have a license to go. And the, what you call it, the blessing of the realm. And Sir Humphrey Gilbert went to the Elizabethan court and he said, listen, I need a license to go to the New World. And he said, well, what's your motive? Because you have to have a reason. And he said, well, now don't forget, you're in the 16th century, you're in the 1500s, and you had the Reformation where Henry VIII divorced himself from Rome. So you had now the protesters, and the protesters who was getting up all the land, all the Catholic land and the Catholic Church land. Because in those days, the more land you had, the more power you had. Because people worked on the land. They just worked the land. The poor people, that's why that quote, a great quote, the rich have an abundance of the poor to do all the work. So anyway, he looked around, so he said, yeah, you know, you can go there. But he looked around, Rapath, how you pronounce it. He looked around and he said, all right, we've got to experiment first before we go to the New World. Because his excuse was or his motive to go to the New World, he said the Spanish are teaching the devil's religion, which was obviously Catholicism.
Yeah.
Because they broke away from Rome. So he said, yeah, okay then. But he looked around and he said, I've got to experiment. I've got to use a stepping stone to see how the indigenous native would react to, you know, a force of people going to their land. So we looked around first for the stepping stone. And he said, I can't go to France, can't go to Spain, can't go to Holland. So what he did, he looked over to Ireland. And he used Ireland as a stepping stone. And from then on, little England started to grow into an empire by using Ireland. And he went over there, and the first thing he did in 1566 was scorch the land. Scorch the land in order to cause famine. And people think that there was only one famine, which was in 1845. There wasn't. There was another one, 1566. Hundreds of thousands of people died. Then there was another one in 1727. Again, the amount of people that died. Then there was another one in 1729, 2 years later. Then there was another one in 1740. Then there was another one in 1800, where hundreds of thousands of people had died because of these famines. And then the final one was in 1845, with the potato famine. And as George Bernard Shaw said, how could there be a famine when the country was full of food? So there's where your empire started, Rapal, in Ireland, unfortunately. And Snapey says serfdom is flourishing to this day and will continue into the future. The very predatory ethos of unfettered capitalism precludes the likelihood of it ever being eradicated. It'll never be eradicated.
No.
Ever.
That's the only way the rich survive, with the abundance of poor.
Simple as that. Owen Lee, even in Frank and Anthony and chat, even in Owen.
Even in Owen.
And Paulie, Frank and Anthony, hi chat. It's another fantastic listen and learn night for me. Hope you're all well and enjoying these great fellas. And Rapat says, thank you anyway, Paulie. Thank you so much. And Rapat says, when you say, I should have done that, inverted commas. When you say famine, can you elaborate into the causes if you have researched? I've done lectures on them, on the Irish. Thank you both very much for the lessons. What it was, you see, the causes, okay. You had a fellow by the name of Major John Rossman. Now, his ancestor during the Cromwellian times, because Cromwell wanted to commit genocide in Ireland. He wanted to rid of all the Irish. There you go. He wanted to rid of all the Irish. So anyway, when they were over there, there was rebellions by the rebels, as they called them. This is in their own bloody land, by the way. So you had the rebellions. And the unfortunate thing was they gave up. The English gave up, but they still maintained the stronghold there. And there was a general called Mahon, and he killed more Irish than any other general there. And Cromwell gave him a reward, and he gave him a reward of 9,000 acres of arable land in Strokestown, a place called Strokestown. 9,000 acres. So fast forward to around the 1840s, when his descendant, Major John Rossman, who owned the land now, the descendant, because it went down the route of the family, and he hated the people working on it. And those people really owned the land, and they were the Catholics. And he tried to get rid of them. And they wouldn't go. He said no, because they had little plots of land. It was shocking what they did, what the English did to the Irish. Shocking. And on this land, the Catholics worked for Major John Rossman, but they had a little plot of land where they grew their own produce. They weren't allowed to have meat or anything, but so their staple diet, believe it or not, was the potato, besides other things as well. Other vegetables and rabbits. They used to catch rabbits and, for meat. So anyway, Major John Ross Mann, as I said, couldn't get rid of them. In 1843, the Americans, they always exported potatoes over to the colonies, as they call them, the likes of Northern Europe, and all Northern Europe, from northern France to Belgium, Holland and Belgium, and also here to the home counties, these potatoes came. And you're talking 1843. And unfortunately, they were blighted. The potatoes that came in, the exports, even in Northern Europe, they were blighted. And when they were planted in 1844, they were blighted, they were no good. So Major John Ross Mann had an idea. He said, get some of them over here. And he imported the bad potatoes to Strokestown and to other parts of Ireland. And in 1845, the potato famine. And that's how it started. And when you look at the famine itself, do you believe that all the potatoes that were in Ireland were blighted by this plague, the American plague? No, because the Irish, some parts of Ireland, was actually exporting potatoes to this country. So they all weren't blighted. And this is the problem, a major problem with the Irish, because they had nothing. They even went to the dockside where ships were, where food was being exported. The likes of cattle, for example, the likes of the potatoes, the likes of other produce was being exported over to England. And they were trying to steal it. And they were being shot by soldiers. Don't hear much about that. To keep them away. And people, through that time of the blight, the potato famine, as George Bernard Shaw said, how could there be a famine when the country was full of food? George Bernard Shaw. Because, years later, he was looking into all this. He was looking at all the imports from Ireland into England. And he was right. Officially, officially what had happened was, during the 1845 famine, there was a great movement of Irish. I used to have a map, unfortunately, I haven't got it anymore. I had two maps. One, Ireland here, and the other, Ireland there. So you had the 1845, which was here. And by the time 1846, here, a year after the famine, to stop the hundreds of thousands of movements of people going through Ireland looking for food and work and whatever. What did they build? They built workhouses. Workhouses, like they were built here. And I'm talking Liverpool here now. Our first workhouse was built in 1732. So we had lots of workhouses all up and down the country in England. And by 1846, they were sprouting all over Ireland to contain the movement of these people. And when the official death list came out, it was 750,000 people who died. 750,000 people died of starvation and other deaths, obviously disease. But unofficially, years later, it came to 3 million. And that was the unofficial thing.
Genocide.
Of course. It was Cromwell. Right from Cromwell wanted to commit genocide. And you wonder why they have a grievance, the Irish, because they've never forgotten what happened.
You wouldn't, Jim. My shock is we've been friends for many, many years, but my schooling, my church did not have that or did not divulge that knowledge. But our time together, you set me on my own journeys to research and read about these odious individuals. I don't know how, Frank, the Irish can make peace with the way the British treated them. I don't know.
It's strange how I've got this here. Can I read something else?
Yeah, please.
About the Irish?
Yes.
And this comes from the Liverpool Mercury. Now, we had an influx of the Irish in 1847 into Liverpool. The influx of Irish. And don't forget, it was all sailing ships then. And they just wanted to get away from the English. They wanted to get away. So when they went on ships to get away, they thought that they were going to America. And it took days. Now, if you're sick, tired, you're exhausted. And unfortunately, I don't like using the terminology and illiterate. You think that those days at sea, and all of a sudden you hit land. Where do you think they thought they landed?
Across the oceans, America.
And they landed in Liverpool. Anyway, now this piece is from the Mercury, which later became the Liverpool Echo. And it says here, this is on the 1st of August 1848. It says, not to be forgotten too, that much, very much of the Irish misery lies quite beyond the reach of any remedial measures of a government, except by a very indirect and gradual process that can change the idiosyncrasies and aptitudes of a nation and convert a slothful, improvident and reckless race into an industrial, thrifty and peaceful people. Industrious, I should have said. Thrifty and peaceful people. We may see what stuff the finest peasantry in the world are made of by visiting. Now, the finest peasantry in the world is in inverted commas. So you know something's wrong, right? So we may see what the stuff, the finest peasantry in the world are made of by visiting the Irish Quarter in any of the large towns of England or America. There is a taint of inferiority in the character of the pure Celt, which has to do with his present degradation than the Saxon physiognomy. And that was the Mercury, which became the Liverpool Echo.
That's the script, wasn't it? That was the script. Was.
And it reminds me of something about what's going on today in the Middle East.
Yes.
Think about it.
Yes. No. Again. No. You cannot avoid the connections, the genocide.
Do you know what? Do you know someone's, you know Rapat? Right. Now, if someone was listening to this, they'd say he's being a plant so that they'd talk about the Irish, wouldn't they? Because all of it, I had stuff here on the Irish. Just as it here on my desk.
Do you know what? And the book that showed the film, and for me, the more I learn, the prouder I am to be a Celt.
Oh yeah,
people, which is close to England, but not in England.
See, the thing is, you mentioned Celt.
Yeah.
Have you noticed Liverpool? Right? We don't look inwards. We look outwards.
Global.
You know that? We look outwards towards Ireland and beyond Ireland, which is what? Where? America.
That's the beauty of the river.
Yes. Yes.
Liverpool is the gateway to the world. Is that not right?
Absolutely. And you've only got to look at the Mercian words, you know, Mersey, the Mersey, right? Mersey. And Mersey, the Mersey, means boundary. Boundary. To keep the riffraff out. But as I said, we look outwards. We don't look inwards. So we're more Celtic than, believe it or not, English.
Yes.
I have to go back. I'm sorry, but I have to go back to the 80s. I don't know what it is today. But 80% of Liverpool people, 80% in the 80s, had Irish blood. I had a little percentage where the Italians, 10%.
Yeah.
Surprising how many Italians, you know, my family included.
Yeah.
They came over and stayed. and went, half of them went over to America.
Yeah. Yeah. But who were the greatest, friendliest, but the greatest kinfolk to the Irish when we came to Liverpool? Was the Italians,
Yeah.
on a religious basis, but also work,
Yes.
built the
And
city.
I made up you brought that, lavoro, work, as the Italians call it, lavoro. Right? Now, the point is, I've mentioned this, but I've only mentioned it about entertainers in America. But here, the Irish and the Italians had to anglicise their names.
Yeah.
Remember when I spoke about Dino Cricchetti, who had to
Yes.
change his name to Dean Martin? He had to, take the O off, Dino. He had to take the O off and just banish Cricchetti altogether and call himself Martin to find work. And loads of them did. Bobby Darin, for example. You've only got to look at Frank Sinatra, and only for his mother, who went down to Jerry Dorsey. She said, you're not changing my son's name. He was born with that name, a proud name, because he was only a young fella. And Jerry Dorsey said, I want you to change your name. Could you imagine Frank Sinatra changing it to like Frank Simmons or something?
No.
Doesn't sound right, does it?
You can't.
Paulie.
Heritage, history.
Paulie. Our city is built on immigration, would you say? Absolutely. Can I read you something?
Well,
There was a statue. Do you know what? Oh, we can't have a break, can we? Jason's not here.
No.
Oh, shall we kick his head in when we see him? For Jason. Let me try and find this. And a statue was found. It was only 5 made of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And they were made and forged in Paris. And only 3 survived. One is in the it's not the Sacre-Cœur in Paris, it's the Notre Dame. One is there. The other one is in the Vatican. And we've got the other one. We have the other one. Just bear with me.
Came to a nunnery. Was it the nuns looked after it for you?
Yes, a nunnery. Because nuns came over from Paris to England. There's the statue.
Ah, beautiful.
That's the statue, right?
Yeah.
It was saved by a lad, forget his name. And it was in a skip. Someone rang him up. I said, there's a statue in the skip here. It's got no arm or whatever. And I was asked, they put like a I hope I get it. I have got it somewhere here. And they asked me to write something because the bottom of the statue, I've got it here. I've got it. Because on the bottom of the statue, it's got like a porcelain, like I hate saying it. It's got a porcelain book. Right. It's like a Bible sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I got a phone call and they said, would you write something? I said, say so, we want to put it on this. I said, yes, sure. And there's what I wrote. Hope you don't mind. And it's only what Paulie said.
No.
Right, so this is on the bottom of the statue on this porcelain book. It's beautiful, And here's what I wrote. I quoted Jean-Jacques Rousseau, French philosopher. Man is born free. However, he is everywhere in chains. That's a quote from it. And he's right. Man is born free. However, he is everywhere in chains because we're tied to the state. We can't get out of it. And we're told what to do. Do as you're told. And this is, you're talking 1874. He wrote this. 1774, not 1774. It's one of my favourite quotes.
Yeah.
So underneath I wrote, put that at the top. And underneath I wrote, the influx of migrants into the city of Liverpool has been ongoing for centuries, with a mixture of different cultures and ethnicity. Migrants who fled their countries of origin, whether through forced exile, expulsion, beliefs, hunger, and wars. Liverpool has welcomed migrants with open arms, inviting them to share a quality of life and to live under one roof in peace and harmony. Migrants brought with them their skills, music, cuisine, variety, and colour.
Beautiful.
That's what I wrote.
Yeah. Beautiful. Love it.
But he didn't put any my name at the bottom of it. I would love my name to go at the bottom. But that's another thing. So it's only what Paulie said.
Yeah.
Our city is built on immigration. Would you?
Yes.
Would you? Yes.
Our artistic, cultural, musical, literary heritage is rooted in that melting pot of beautiful people from across the globe.
Yes. We had Norwegians here. And when they came, they were sent for because Japanese came up to see, whaling, because there was a fellow by the name of Daniel Brocklebank, who was an American, and he came over in 1774 to Liverpool. And he wanted to set up a whaling thing. But he had nobody, He must have been going around asking the Scousers, saying it. Do you fancy going to catch a few whales? What do we want to go to Wales for? What do we want to catch them for?
See?
Anyway,
and then
so he has to go on.
The Japanese actually made a home base here, didn't they?
They did.
St.
They
George.
did. Because what they did, they sent for these Norwegians, Brocklebank, because they were involved in whaling. So when they came over, these Japanese wanted to see was there any difference between the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere for whales. You see? So they came up because they got wares, obviously, through ships and that coming into Japan. And in Liverpool, England, there's a whaling. So they came up to Liverpool to see how the whales here and, what kind of whales was in the North Atlantic.
And if there's a longevity in the business.
Oh, yes.
Because the base, as we know, Liverpool, is immediately connected to the oceans.
Yeah.
The short trip and you through. But I've got to put this on you, and I'm not diverting our conversation because I'm loving it. But the Norwegians gave us something that we still value so much today, don't they? I'm thinking it's cuisine. Yeah.
Cuisine.
Yes, my dear friend.
Lobscouse. And it's spelled Lopskause, Lobscouse. So they gave us it because our sailors, when they went, they obviously they were wanting money, and they were seafarers anyway. So they went on the whaling ships. And when they started sailing, these lads, for warmth, to keep warm, hot food, they had a sort of a stew of potatoes and carrots, all these, vegetables and meat.
Yeah.
And that was lobscouse. And they loved it, the Scousers, the Liverpool people, scared seafarers.
That's where our name came, our nickname.
Oh, yeah, because when sailors, that's what it was, sailors, when they came into Liverpool, they were known as, because of the dish. And when sailors came into Liverpool, people were calling them Scouse. And they were having this Scouse thing. So when other sailors, Liverpool sailors were hitting their ports all around the world, on their ships. Now, where are you from? When they were in a bar or from Liverpool. Scouse, eh?
Yeah. Oh, it's Scouse.
I like Scouse. And people say, I remember this fella saying, I'm going back years ago, and he said, I hate being called a Scouser. I said, why? He said, it sounds awful. He said, we're Liverpolitans. I said, well, you've got that fucking wrong. I'm sorry to swear. And I said, you've got that wrong. I said, we're Liverpudlians, not Politans. Didn't like that.
Love it. That's Paulie's fault. Took us on a journey then.
Yeah. And Repap. And Stephen Threlfall. Hello, lads. Sorry I didn't finish work till late. Did you manage to see the poem I sent through, Frank? Have you sent it an email? I'm being honest with you, I get hundreds of emails. Show you. You think I'm telling lies? Hundreds of them. And this is only in the last couple of days. Fucking hell. I'm going right down, right to the... Right, so you've got that. These are all my emails, look. Hang on, where the fuck? Right, let's see. I'll try and... Fuck's sake. Right, I'll just go, look at all them. I get hundreds of them. And I have to look for them, but I will look. I will look. I try to, put it up for you. Look, they're all going up and down, see? And that's what happens, unfortunately. And you mightn't think I'm busy, but I am. Oh, okay. Will be called the normal one. Yes, okay. I will have a look, honestly. I promise you, Stephen. And we want to read it out because we're going to have a poetry night where our people have actually written poems.
Yeah. Oh, lovely.
And we are having a little poem, don't be good. So it will be read out, believe you me. Will be read out. So we've done sent it on Monday. So it'll be okay, Stephen. I will have a look. Thank you. I will definitely have a look. I just want to see if my map works. I'll definitely have a look, Stephen, and I'll reply. But I couldn't. Paulie says, I'm a proper pick and mix. Father's side Chinese and Filipino, mother's side is Irish, which I only recently discovered and which I am quite chuffed about. Well, the Chinese were the first, they were the first real community to come into Liverpool, into Pitt Street.
That's a beautiful heritage, Paulie. Absolutely beautiful.
We have a lad who comes on now and again called Pak, who's a Chinese lad, photographer. Don't we, Anthony?
Yeah. Yeah.
Pack on. Pack up. Pack
brilliant photographer. Yeah.
Lovely fella.
Photographer, yeah. Great guy.
No problem, Stephen. Honestly, I will. Anyway, I just want to add to the stage this. Look at that.
Here we go.
Right. I showed you that last week, didn't I?
Yeah.
Do you know what this is? Look. That's a UFO.
Unidentified.
It's an OAP now. UAP.
I can't get my head around that.
It's the UAPs.
Everything's everything's abbreviated into letters now. I can't. Don't go there.
No, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I just want to show something. Now, that's the town hall here, right?
Yeah,
Now, the town hall was built by Sir John Wood of Bath in 1754. Yeah.
yeah,
And what you've got here, I wish Jason was here. What you've got here, from there, that bank is still there, by the way. Right around here, exchange flags.
yeah.
That thing there is an orangey. We call it orangey. And let me see if I've got a picture of it. Jason was here to show you the picture. Just bear with me. Bear with me on this. And the picture is incredible because we lovely people knocked it down. And I hope I've got it. Because I keep pulling these things out. Yeah, I've got it there, hang on. I'll have to pull it out. Ah, jeez. I don't like pulling things out. But anyway, I had a better one than this. I haven't a clue where it is. It's not half awkward for me, you know. Here. I haven't got much room. You might think that I've got loads of room in here, I haven't, you know. But I just want to show you this here, right?
Yeah.
This thing. And there's St. Nick's Church there, just in case, like it. Right? First Bank of England outside London, 1846. Professor Sir Charles Cockerell designed and built that. So, and the likes of here, John Foster Sr. built all this. Exchange flags, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to take it off a moment.
Yeah.
Answer.
Okay, Frank.
I don't know where I am here. Hang on. I'll show you the picture. Right? I'm going to take you off, Anthony. I'm sorry. It's just so people can see this picture. Won't be a minute. Right? And this is the orangey. This is what we knocked down in 1954. We knocked that down in 1950. I can't bloody see, you know. We knocked that down in 1954. How beautiful is that? It's incredible. Incredible. Statues around, arches. There's Nelson's column, monument. And we knocked it down. We knocked it down. Did you see that, Anthony?
Beautiful, Frank.
See, if the other fellow was here, could have put it right up. But he goes out, doesn't he, on a Thursday? I think he goes to 30.
Can't knock him for that.
No, you can't knock him at all. And it's just so annoying what we have actually knocked down. Because they said that when they were knocking this down, they said, well, we'll try and modernise, like the 30s stuff. And this is what you've got today. Which is absolutely ridiculous. Isn't that a sad indictment on our city planners? That was built in 1801. Isn't it a sad indictment?
Yes.
It's so sad. It's so sad what we as a city have done to our particular city. Some of the architectural wonders gone, just like the original exchange flags.
Yeah.
To put these other things in, which I disapprove of, and lots of other people disapprove of. And it's so sad. I wouldn't mind, the way things are. I'm going to show you something else now. Bear with me. Bink. Right. Now, I've showed you this before, but here, Anthony, here, that's St. John's Church.
Yeah.
And that was a cemetery. And when they, obviously they pulled it down to make the gardens, St. John's Gardens. And all the English that was buried there, they exhumed and put them somewhere else. God knows where. God knows where they put them. And the French prisoners of war were also buried there. And they didn't exhume them at all. They just left them there, and they're still there. The French prisoners of war. During the Napoleonic Wars, that is.
Am I right in saying there's about 2,000 of them?
Spot on. 2,000. Can you see that church there?
Yes.
See that church there, Anthony?
Yeah.
Right. See, here, this is where I grew up. Jerry Gardens and Jerry Crescent, right?
Yeah.
And that was a church, St. Anne's Church, because over the road there was a little school called St. Anne's. But anyway, this is St. Anne's Church. And it has a cemetery, like every other church having a cemetery. And he was buried there, was one of my Liverpool heroes.
This is the father and son. The genius of the father and son, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. They were pioneers in flight. And his name was Wyndham Sadler. And he was buried there. And as it says, we just lived over the roads when Jerry Gardens was built. And the church obviously had come down. And the cemetery was still there. But it was all like flat, there was lumps everywhere, and, a few headstones. But because there was grass there, we used to play football on there. We used to go along and play football because we always played on concrete. And a little bit of grass was great. So anyway, just a game of football. And little did I know, as I was playing on there, I was actually playing football on one of my great heroes, Wyndham Sadler. First man to cross an expanse of water in a balloon in 1817 from Dublin to Liverpool. Not only that, see what you had, Anthony, you had a balloonist, from the Montgolfier brothers of 1774 went up in a balloon. Could you imagine being, just wandering about in 1774 and all of a sudden you see something up in the air with humans in, and there was a balloon.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
You'd be waiting for it to fall.
Yes.
You're
Yes.
staggered that you've seen it, but you're saying, hey Mary, this is going to fall out the sky in a minute.
So anyway, what has happened was, Anthony, no one would cross an expanse of water. They were terrified, in case they went down. Because what was there? Only water. So Wyndham, his dad tried to do it, James Sadler, because he was the very first British aeronaut. When he made the balloon and went up, and he tried to cross the expanse of water. But anyway, his son did it. He got too old, James, and he said, I'll do it for you, Dad. And instead of going from Liverpool to Dublin, he went over to Dublin. And then ballooned over from Dublin to Liverpool. And he landed in Liverpool. Wyndham Sadler. So he was the first man. If you think about it, if he would have gone down in the Irish Sea, right, what would have got him? Because ships at the time, as you know, were only sailing ships, and they were blown off course. They were always blown off course. And that's why he's one of my great heroes, because he did it himself. He actually did it. I remember talking to this archivist, and he said, no, it wasn't. It was an Italian. I said, no, it wasn't. I said, it was him. I said, that Italian, what was it? I forget his name. I said, the Italian, he sailed over from Dover to England. I said, he never used his balloon. I said, he only used it on a part of the way where he could see headland. So he blew the balloon up and he went up and he landed in England, at Dover, I think. And that was like a few years later. So in 1817, it was Wyndham Sadler. Also, when, as I said about the sailing ships, and it wasn't until steam came about that people were more safe to cross an expanse of water. More safe because they could actually, because what you had with steam, they just went in a straight line. They couldn't be blown off course. Hence the name liners. because they went in a straight line, you see. That's how line has got its name, for going in a straight line,
Yeah.
because of steam.
Yeah.
It's incredible, isn't it, really? You know, like where little terminologies come from.
Yeah, it is. And also the crossover from historic sailing ships. We were known as a sailing country into industrialization, really, on the seas, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, sail, it was very dangerous. You know, think about it. Think about crossing the Atlantic on sail, leaky ships being tossed about with big waves,
Yeah,
and loads of ships were lost.
yeah.
Lots of them through heavy weather. And could you imagine going around Cape Horn? Oh, Cape Horn. Christopher. Hi, Frank and Anthony and everyone. Like and subscribe. Thank you, Christopher.
Evening, Christopher.
But that map, Anthony, is wonderful, isn't it?
It's absolutely wonderful, Frank. Yeah.
And when you get this, I love it, you know. I really love it.
What blows me away is that would actually have been drawn by a balloonist. That observational view and the scale of detail is just phenomenal.
Well, I've got a great map. I'll show you that when you come and see me.
Yeah.
I'll show you that here. It's too big.
Same kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely. And who did it was a Frenchman in 1885. He went up in a balloon, and you should see what he did. Magnificent. And I've got it here.
Love it.
But I can't get it. It's too big. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was doing a history weekend at St. George's Hall. You know, this wonderful place here. And Linda McDermott, she came along and was listening to, you know, and she was fascinated by what I was showing on the map that this chap did in 1885. I just love to, I can't show you it because it's too massive. It's too big, unfortunately.
Has our Jason got a scaled down version of it?
I don't think so.
Ah.
Can you see that tunnel there?
Yeah, yeah.
Right, from Lime Street, right, there's Limey. And that's the tunnel. That's what brings you into Lime Street. Right?
Yeah.
Do you know who designed and built that tunnel?
I forget the name, God forgive me, because he well deserved man. But you told me, and it's fascinating.
Who it is. I tell you what, I won't tell you now. We'll surprise the people on Monday. Eh? Because Jason will be with us. And he'll be putting it up. Because I can't put it up. See what I mean?
Yeah. No, brilliant.
So, and we'll surprise the people about that tunnel. and something else to go with it as well.
It's based on that observational genius.
Yeah. Yep.
That would work with, yeah. Brilliant, Frank, yeah.
So we do that, eh?
Yeah.
But I want to show you something. Here. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Along there. From Lime Street. There's Lime Street Station.
Yeah.
And what you've got right there, do you know the columns and arches that you see in Lime Street today?
Yeah.
That's still there, right? I'm going to show you something. Because I did see it. That's awkward. Oh, there it is, there. You're going to love this, aren't you? I keep forgetting to put the prints back in the little folder there. So what I'll have to do, as Christopher says, I love that map. The detail is amazing. It is.
Yeah, it is, Christopher. The artistry of it is amazing.
And Paulie says, I'm away, Frank, and that it's been a long day. It's a shower and bed for me, but I will watch it back tomorrow. No, you won't. You always say that, don't you? Only joke.
You deserve it.
Only joke. Right, I'm going to take it off. I'm sorry, Anthony.
Yeah.
Going to take it off, right? And what I've just showed you on there, Anthony, is this. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that magnificent? I'm going to bring it back on. And we bring the map on. What you've just seen there, Anthony, is that, hang on, is that there.
Yeah.
And we knocked it down.
Amazing.
It's what you call a Greek colonnade.
Yeah.
And we knocked it down. Isn't that a shame?
It is a shame, Frank, because I think, knowing that you know, both you and I loved that part of Liverpool, but that would have just added so much to it now. Getting off that train at Limesey Station, amongst all of that, the Roman and the Greek influence.
Yeah, it would have been magnificent.
That's like painting the Mona Lisa yellow because it matches the curtains.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you could imagine, if that was still there, and also the original exchange flags, magnificent.
Yeah.
And when you think about exchange flags and that magnificent building, you know, around, I've got a bigger one than that. I don't know where it is. I'm not looking. I haven't got the time. But when you look at that, right, that was the same stone as St. George's Hall today. So everything would have been bright, you see.
Do you know what that reminds me of then? With in the clip, reminds me of the Dakota buildings in New York,
Dakota, yeah.
where John ended up. That sense of history, rooted, solid. Wow.
It's so sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so sad. And when you think about when people write, you know, the great writers, as we mentioned before, and people, you know, don't look at the underbelly, you know, the wider picture of the story they are reading about what was going on. Charles Dickens, Jane Eyre, the opening of Jane Eyre.
Yeah, sensational. Yeah.
And, you know, the poor, you know, even about the church, about the establishment as well, that the only thing to them is status and money.
Yeah.
And even the church, you know, wore a mask. What a word that is, wearing a mask.
Yeah.
A church, religion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you
Powerful.
can associate everything with today. Go on, sorry.
Just powerful, Frank, to commit that to paper that we all share.
Yeah.
Generations later. And we're still seeing the absolute sense in what was written. Yeah.
I think he's gone. You know, the lads who mentioned about the Irish,
Yeah.
and ours applies to today. But you can apply everything that was written then to today and
To
what's
today.
going on. And nothing
Yeah.
changes, Anthony.
No.
Nothing changes for the better.
I know we're going to be delving into one of our favourites, the great William Shakespeare. But what he wrote about envy and greed, and it's still apparent today. Still apparent today. Declare war on the back of it's.
Yes.
It's unbelievable how little we change as a human race.
Okay. Take Henry V. And I mentioned about our flair.
Yeah.
When all the soldiers were out fighting the English, and the English, you know, under Henry came to the big castle in our flair, and all that I was in the castle with women, children, you know, the wives of the soldiers that were gone to fight the English because they're on their soil, and old men. And he said, the old man said, we're not opening the gates. We are not opening the gates. And Henry V said, oh, right, okay. If you don't open the gates, we will force the gates open. We will rape your women and spike your children and babies and kill you. So the old men had to open the gates. I'll tell you what it reminds me of. I'll tell you what it reminds me of, and I hope you'd agree here. It reminds me of aircraft carriers, big battleships, and everything else that surrounded Venezuela.
Yeah, totally.
And that Trump saying to the Venezuelans, if you don't, we'll just bomb you. We will obliterate Caracas. So they, okay.
Yeah.
And what did they do? They went in and kidnapped a sovereign leader of a sovereign country and brought him to America. That, Henry V, reminds me of our Flair, because that's what he did.
1606, 1608.
You couldn't make it up. You couldn't make it up.
No.
You couldn't make it up.
Horrific.
And that's Shakespeare for you.
That's Shakespeare.
Visionary, you see.
Yeah. He got it right then. And it's right now. And that's the great tragedy, because the world is a tragedy. We live on a beautiful planet, but the human race aren't fit to be on the planet.
It's a beautiful planet. When you look at, I look at things on YouTube, it shows you like places, from the air. And
Yeah.
they go to valleys, they go to lakes, they go to seas, they go to, the North and South Poles, and they're showing you all this. And it's mountains, magnificent. It shows you cities of a night all lit up, and that's incredible. And we're destroying it.
Totally expand the mind.
Oh, yeah. And we're destroying it in one fell swoop.
For greed. It's like someone said, and it's quite simple, and I don't really know why are we paying for water?
Yeah. Yeah. Why are we? Why are we paying? We pay for everything. I think they tax air as well next.
You would do.
The report says, I agree, learning history only teaches that we are no different today than back then, or rather they, in caps, are no different, in brackets, elites.
Yeah. Well, I think it was Robert Tressel who wrote all those years ago that if they could, they would tax the air that we breathe.
Oh, yeah.
And we would pay for that.
See, I said a few years ago, Anthony, I said, there'll be, do you know the way like freedom of speech is gone? Yeah. You can't say, you'll have to be very careful what you say.
Yeah.
And I said, and I'm saying this a few years ago, I said, even freedom of thought will be gone. Freedom of thought. And little Donna Taylor, how you Donna? Last night I started George Orwell's 1984.
Brilliant. Very heavy read, but brilliant.
And one of
For
his great
me,
quotes,
the,
go on.
the classic film version of it was Richard Burton's last film.
Yeah, it was. And John Hurt was in it, wasn't he?
He was exceptional.
And one of his greatest quotes is Orwell's, is no matter how they deny the truth, no matter how they deny the truth will always exist.
Yeah.
And it's like Leo Tolstoy's quote. And I love this quote. History would be a wonderful thing if it would be true, if it was true.
Yeah.
Because what you get, Anthony, is propaganda. Remember Trump when he came out a few months ago and said, we won the war?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's an untruth.
Yeah.
As Tolstoy said, it'll be a wonderful thing if it was true.
Yeah.
History would be a wonderful thing if it was true.
And then what we've got to understand, I guess, that he's not saying that to us because we know that that's not true. I'm talking about the greater Europe, Western Wales. He's talking to the American people who believe what he says.
Oh, yeah, because he's the POTUS.
Yeah.
He's the POTUS.
Straight back to Mr. Blair there. We've got to do half a show on, maybe this week coming we'll do half a show on George Orwell, Mr. Blair, as is. And
as Owen Lee says, the CEO of Nestle, now leader of the WEF, the World Economic Forum, who starts all the wars, said water isn't a God-given right.
That's
you might as well say the air is not a God-given right.
That's what he's hinting at, isn't it? That's what he's hinting at. This is the son of billionaires who's a multi-billionaire.
Oh, won't he?
Oh my God. My God, have you forsaken us?
What did you think about tonight?
You know what? I've loved it, Frank. I loved the way you opened up with the Charlotte Bronte, and it's quite harrowing when you listen to those words, isn't it? Because again, what's more apparent, what we're seeing, is that it's not changed. When the church turns a blind eye, and the people who could help will say, "Oh, it's that time. We've really got to get off." Where is compassion? No.
And we lost a very dear friend, didn't we?
We did.
A very dear friend.
Full of compassion.
And you get prats like certain leaders who are still walking the bloody streets, causing chaos and havoc and wars. Christopher says Americans are taught that in school, mainly that they invented everything and won every war.
Well, they certainly invented bullshit. They excel at that.
And we have a dear friend, don't we? We have a dear friend, an American Dennis Paparak.
Yes.
And he knows the score, doesn't he, as well?
Yeah.
Because he's educated properly.
I mean, no offense, Dennis, and our other beautiful American friends, but it's
they know, it's not.
just in the script
No.
is country in their country.
Yes. But as I said, it's our great writers, it's our great visionaries that, have excelled in their works. And there's us now in this century, quarter of a century into the new millennium, and we're talking about them.
Yes. Yeah. And some of us are only getting to terms with the message they said. But you said something harrowing the other day in a private conversation, and I think we mentioned it, touched on it briefly on air, but had these great writers who were kind of all born within 50 or 60 years of each other in the 16th, from Keats to William Blake to Keats to Dickens to Bronte, had that generation been blighted by something as horrific as Oliver Cromwell? Well,
just imagine. No William Blake, no William Shakespeare, no Charles Dickens, no Brontes, no Browning, no John Keats, no Samuel Taylor Coleridge and his Ancient Mariner. Imagine them all being together in one fell swoop during a certain period of England at a time. And you had the likes of Cromwell when he banned everything, and you could be put to death if you started writing. He closed all theatres, banned all writers.
painters.
What would have happened?
What would we learn? We wouldn't learn anything, would we? There's nothing to learn.
Yeah. We wouldn't have been we wouldn't have been reciting the likes of she should have died here after tomorrow, and tomorrow creeps in the petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. We would never have recited that. The tragic speech of Macbeth. We would have never have said, what passing bells for these who die as cattle. He's gone, and all our friends are, and all our plans are useless indeed. Think about it.
Yeah. Horrific. It is horrific.
And that's what he meant. But how many great writers, prose writers and poets during the Cromwellian era couldn't write, and unfortunately had died during his reign as Lord Protector?
Yeah.
What works they... Do you know what it reminds me of? John Lennon. John Lennon was 40 years of age when he died.
Yeah.
What music was because of that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what music he was about, in the years of his life that was taken away from him, we've lost forever. And it's just like what Cromwell did to great writers and poets that we'd never. There could be manuscripts somewhere hidden, but they've written. We don't know. John Milton was the only one who could write. Rappart says, it was interesting to learn from you that a common phrase was never trust the Americans. How apt, given what's coming out now. Yes. Yes. And Donna says, are the Americans disillusional? Yes. Yes, unfortunately. That's the way it is, Donna.
So are a lot of British, unless you've got a knowledge of the history of where the soil you were born on.
Our lovely Lauren, or Loren. Good evening, Frank and Anthony.
Good evening, Lauren.
Good evening, Lauren. Hope you're well, my sweetheart. It just shows you, doesn't it, that when our writers, when our great writers, especially the visionaries, put pen to paper or quill to paper, if you like, and the likes of the great artists, the likes of Leonardo da Vinci,
It's impossible to comprehend, really, but when George Orwell wrote 1984, he knew he was seriously ill, and this possibly would be the last thing he would write. And he was in a stone cottage in Scotland, cut off from the world, with no finery, no heating, no. And the same as William Blake, same as John Keats, yet they still created this majestic legacy for us.
No matter how you look at, the great writers, and when we pick up a book and we read, can I read that out again? Just to remind people of, when you read something, if you're reading a novel, you've got to take everything in. It's like what I said when people pick up a book and say, I couldn't put it down. They're not taking everything in because they want to get to the end. They're saying, this is great. They want to get to the end. Do you see what I mean? To the end of the story, to see what has happened at the end.
Yeah.
But they're not taking everything in. Can I read it out again?
Yes, please, Frank.
I'll have to go right down, sorry, to get it. Right. Good grief. Change glasses. And we'll finish on this, if you don't mind, Anthony.
No, that's great, Frank.
And it's the opening of Jane Eyre. Now, what you've got to understand as well is Jane Eyre, this was a semi-autobiography of Charlotte Bronte herself, the author. So she's writing how she felt and what was happening at the time. Don't forget it's a semi-autobiography. You have to say semi because of Jane Eyre, not Charlotte Bronte. My name is Jane Eyre. I was born in 1820, a harsh time of change in England. Money and position seemed all that mattered. Money and position seemed that's all that mattered to people. Remember?
Yeah.
The rich have an abundance of poor. Charity was a cold and disagreeable word. Religion too often wore a mask of bigotry and cruelty. There was no proper place for the poor or the unfortunate. I had no father, mother, brother, or sister. As a child, I lived with my aunt, Mrs. Reed of Gateshead Hall. I do not remember that she ever spoke one kind of word to me. You know what she's saying there? Do you know all the people? Harsh time of change in England, money and position seems all that mattered. It's those people what she's talking about, that they never had a kind word said up to anybody about the poor because she mentions the poor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you read things, I'm not saying you, I'm just saying people, I'm not saying our chatters either. When you read, you've got to take everything that's written into consideration about how harsh it was at the time for people, our ancestors. That's who she's writing about. And Owen Lee. Gents, do you think there are certain times in human history that consciousness is heightened, as in the Renaissance and the Industrial Age? Great show once again, gents. Thank you. Isn't that a wonderful comment?
It is a wonderful comment, and it's a great point as well, Al. I think there's definitely are moments in time where we are allowed to feel hopeful, hope, excitement.
But don't you think that, like today, we all live in hope, but that hope is world peace and love.
Yeah, I think it's always been the same, Frank, and I think we always have that inherently in us to, hope it's going to be a nice day. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. That that thing is natural to a lot, not every human being, but a lot of people who aren't preoccupied with making money on the back of someone else. They have the two worlds that collide.
Yes, totally agree. And it does collide. And Rapat says, As tech develops, so do mediums that great is conveyed, perhaps. Great art of one age, great plays of another, great novels next. Now movies are this generation's medium for the great works.
Maybe, but I like to think that if anyone enjoys a movie, then they would delve into where that movie came from, i.e., a book. Um, but we can't stop technology and technology. It's like the biggest. There's a lot of artist friends of mine who are out there saying, well, why bother painting anymore because AI can do it all. And it's the same with authors, it's the same with everything. But at a point, people will get bored with that technology as we are kind of bored with phones.
Yeah.
Uh, and it goes back to reality. Read a book, go to a museum. The, the, the,
So it's only what you say there. Read a book. And to finish on a note, Liverpool, Liverpool was the very first city in the entire world to open up a public library for the likes of the poor who could read. That was in Duke Street. And the building's still there. Because you did have libraries, don't get me wrong, but they were for exclusive gentlemen all around the world. Even women were exempt from going in. So you could imagine, the likes of Jimmy and Johnny trying to get in, if you know what I mean. You couldn't
yeah,
get in.
yeah,
But if your name was William and George, yes, and you came from a very hoity-toity background, oh, you could go in and you could go into the smoking room, sit down in a plush chair, pick up a book out of the shelves and read it. You've only got to look at some libraries. I've been in some libraries, and the plush. You've only got to look at the Roscoe rooms
yeah.
in our library. Fantastic, fantastic. And yes, it was very hard time for anyone to get in there, especially if you didn't fit. It's like vagrancy when the Vagrancy Act came out because the poor couldn't walk in parks.
Yeah,
They couldn't walk in parks, Anthony,
yeah,
which was sad.
yeah,
They just couldn't walk in parks because you could get done for vagrancy. It was only for the ladies and the gentlemen, the rich ladies and gentlemen.
yeah. And unbelievably, we had streets like that in Liverpool that you
But Princess Park, you could get, thrown into jail for vagrancy. You've only got London, for example, by the great William Blake,
yeah,
right? I wander through its chartered streets and there where the chartered Thames does flow. In every face of man I meet, marks of weakness, marks of woe. Chartered that means you couldn't go down there if you were a
Of
poor person. Because as it says, in every face of man I meet, marks of weakness, marks of woe. You see, that's how people were.
Yeah.
That's what Jane Eyre said. Charlotte Bronte. Jane Eyre.
Yeah.
That's what Dickens said. And we leave this wonderful, one of the best quotes ever, 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 ever. What we've been talking about. Hell is empty. All the devils are here. And who said that, Mr. Brown?
The great William Shakespeare, my dear sir.
And on that wonderful note, go on, sorry, what was you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, a great teacher to us all.
He was. He certainly was. A
Still
great
is.
teacher to us all. And so was Dickens. So was Keats. So was Blake. So
Yes.
was Browning.
Yes.
Incredible. Incredible. And we love our little literature, don't we, Mr. Brown?
We do. Inspires all sorts of things.
But you've only got to look at the path. He came out and said that bank was right there. You know, when he mentioned the Irish.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just love it. And on that one, do you know what? I've got to thank Anthony. Our little Donna says, Frank and Anthony, thank you for another lovely show. Thank you, Donna, for coming in and joining us. I've got to thank these wonderful people.
Thank the lads.
Got painting services. These lads are fully time served, fully insured, everything. They're first class. There's no cowboys in this because they are the fully time served painters and decorators. If you're an NHS worker, if you're an elderly person or an elderly couple, get them in. Don't struggle because you get a special discount. And if you're not an elderly or you don't work for the NHS, call them in. Let them give you a price without any obligation. Please get them in. That's Gap Painting Services, the sponsors of every single pod that I do. And I'm Mark Simons. Hell is empty, all the devils are here. Shakespeare. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And on that wonderful note, all the devils are here. You wouldn't cocoa. And on that wonderful note, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say a big thank you for keeping Anthony and myself.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for the wonderful comments, guys.
Yeah.
It does set us on a journey, which we love.
Yeah, it's a journey of openness, isn't it?
Yeah.
You just open up a thing, you open up a door, and you go through that door. Oh, that lovely, lovely little Laura. Good night, Frank and Anthony.
Good night, Laura. Thank you for
Do
that.
you see that heart there, Anthony?
Yeah.
It's for me. It's not for you.
No, of course.
Don't be too cheeky. Laney will go bad.
Well, I would much rather count the hearts than the pound notes. That's what makes the world go round.
It does, doesn't it? And as
Yes.
the beautiful Lauren says, thank you for another lovely show. No, thank you. Grazie cara mia, Lauren.
Thank you and all the guys for joining us, Laura.
Look at this one. This one's for Anthony.
And straight back to you. Thank you, Laura.
God blimey. See? I'm like Kansas. I'm on the road again. So listen, mister, I'll make a cup of tea. And I hope you don't mind me giving you the ring.
No, of course I
Is that
don't.
okay?
Yeah.
And for you lovely people, if you want to join me tomorrow night, I'll be doing the current affairs, what's going on. And if you don't like the current affairs and, the harshness of what's going on in the world, join me Saturday morning, 10:30 for the film and TV review. Have you watched any films that I've told you, Anthony?
I've been dipping into a few. I've still got to finish The Family Man, but I'm watching Outsider.
Are you watching it?
Yeah, we're on the third.
What do you think?
I love it. Complex. And the great thing with Stephen King is that expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when it seems to be boxed off. And you think, oh, okay, well, that's falling apart. Then it's brilliant. Brilliant.
Good though, isn't it good?
Yeah. And as we said privately, I absolutely loved the quality of the acting in All the Devils Are Here. The new film. Eddie Marsden.
Yeah, great actor, Eddie. Great actor.
Dark, but brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
And Donna says, let me know when we can have a chat about my pictures, please. I will do. I will give you the ring, but not tonight. Unfortunately, Donna, I've got to speak to Anthony. And Lauren says, I'll be there, Frankie. Thank you, Lord.
You go.
And as Lauren, listen to me. As Oscar Wilde once said, I can resist anything except temptation. And you're my temptation, Lauren.
You go.
She wonders, she go. And the Red Pat says, I watched Eyes Wide Shut last night. Stanley Kubrick. Brilliant film. And do you know what haunted me about that film, Red Pat? The music. It haunted me, though. Haunted me. Whoever made that and the noise, whatever it was weird. Pat, if you can you like and subscribe, please? Please, if you haven't done it. Thanks for the lessons, Frank and Anthony.
Thank you for the input. It's brilliant because it sets a direction for us. But I think we're on Monday for the next kind of history show. And then please join all of Frank's shows. Are all fantastic. I sneak in on a Monday and sometimes a Wednesday when no one's.
Well, we'll be having 2 a week from now on anyway. I'm making sure of that. I'll be talking to you about it in about half an hour, if you don't mind.
No, of course I don't mind.
Okay. Rapat said the music was Latin in reverse, I believe. Do you know what? I didn't know that. It's weird. Have you seen Eyes Wide Shut, Anthony?
I watched a couple of scenes when it first came out years ago, but I've never watched it all the way through. But funny enough, I was reading something else and it mentioned it. And with you guys tonight, I will defo put it out there and watch it.
Because it's good, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And some people don't like Tom Cruise. I don't mind him myself. I don't mind him because he does all his own stunts and everything.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of him, but I am a fan of Stanley Kubrick.
Yes.
And I will watch it.
It is. I thought it was great, and as I said about the music and Rapat, but it's right through. The music was Latin in reverse, I believe. Thank you for that. I'll have to watch it again now myself because of the music. Yeah. And Little Donna says, Frank, I'll behave when you ring this time. Now, with that, now you say to Frank, I'll behave when you ring this. I'll behave myself when I ring this. No, you could be thinking, aye, what was going on?
I am.
I think she was. Do you know what? When I rang her up because of some photographs. Do you know what she said to me? But I think she was shouting to her daughter. She said, "It's Frank. He just sounds like he is on the." That's what you want me to sound. That's what me to sound like.
That's my favourite Oscar Wilde quote. In life, be yourself, because everyone else is taken.
Yes. Yes.
There's only one Frank Carlyle.
And do you know what? There's a quote, I don't know who it's by, and it says, if you, hang on, oh no, it's a cracking little quote. I think it's an anonymous person who did it as well. It's an ancient quote, actually. Well, go back to the ancient times. And it's, if you're dearly, I'll have to look it up again, and I don't want to paraphrase it because it's beautiful. Good. It's a beautiful quote.
Yeah.
Hang on. The last part of it is, hang on to what you've got. It could mean anything, couldn't it? Could mean friendship, it could mean love, it could mean anything. Hang on to what you've got. Cracking quote. It really is. It is something about love anyway. So anyway, mister, we've just got to thank all these wonderful people.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I hope some of them join me tomorrow night.
Yeah. I am absolutely certain they will. You know. Thank you, our wonderful chat family. It feels like a family. We don't call each other out, but you're free to express your opinion, and we love that.
Absolutely. Bang on. 100%. And to everyone, thank you so much for keeping Anthony and myself company tonight. Thank you for your wonderful comments. And to our dear Italian ladies, ciao. Ciao. Ci vediamo. Ci vediamo. Ciao, Bella. Good night.